Welcome back to the Coaches Four Quarters radio show. And I'm your host, Coach Joseph Lee Jr. And I want to introduce a young man, my next guest, whom I'm bringing on. I am humbled. This young man has taught everything up front, as I told him the other day, offense and defensive line. And I let him know that the game can't move without him. So I want to welcome to the Coaches Four Quarters radio show, Jay Freeman.
I just wanted to say that Coach Jay was probably one of the greatest coaches I had in my career. He was a family man, so he definitely brought that family aspect to the football field.
Hey, my name is Peyton Pauley, and I played for Coach Freeman for my junior and senior year of high school. I think he would be a tremendous head coach for any school. Honestly, he's a great man, a great coach, a great leader, and a great friend. You know, he's kept up with me over the years. Even though I've been graduated from high school for four or 5 years now, he cares about his players, and he follows them. He follows their lives and what they do on and off the field. He gets them prepared, you know, for that next step of life, whatever it may be. If you're chasing a academic scholarship, an athletic scholarship,
My name is William Messiah Jenkins, otherwise known as MJ Jenkins. I first met Coach Jay back in 2008 to 2009 when I was a freshman at Mount Rainier High School. He was the O-line coach back then, and he was the oldest coach on the team, but you would have thought he was the youngest.
He was my linebackers coach about, say, 5 or 6 years ago. At the time, in one of my senior seasons, pivotal times in the young man's career in terms of college.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
I'm doing good. And it's really great to see you on the show. And I want to tell you, I appreciate it. I am humbled. I've looked forward to it. And now I'm here with you.
Well, I sure am excited to be here. For me, it's a real blessing to be here on a Friday afternoon. And I've been following you for a long time, Coach Joe, as well. And the thing I always tell people, I say, a lot of people have a lot of knowledge, but some people, they're kind of gatekeepers. They kind of want to hold that knowledge to themselves. One thing about you, Coach Joe, is you're going to help anybody that needs help, and you're going to seek them out to do it. And so I remember years ago, I had a question about coverage, and you were kind enough to break it down on your coverage system, and you called me up in the middle of the night, and you spent about 2 or 3 hours talking about coverage. And I said, man, that's a rare individual. That's a special person right there.
I appreciate that. Now, to start out, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and let us know how you got from where you started to where you are now.
Okay, I sure appreciate it. Well, like a lot of you guys, I feel a lot of blessings because I feel like the game of football has given me a lot of things. It's given me a lot of training as a man. It's given me a lot of profession and income. And it's given me a great passion in which I can work to help young people. And I feel like a blessing because I feel like a lot of people, they go to their job, Coach Joe, and they clock into their job and they can't stand it. You know, they don't like their job. Maybe they don't like their boss. They don't like what they're doing. But for me, I feel like I get to be around young people, and I get to be around the game of football, and I get to try to help people. And I tell you what, every day, I'm very blessed, you guys. I'm a special ed teacher, and I work with people with the autism spectrum and people with different disabilities and kids with behavioral problems, stuff like that. And they're kids that regular school can't deal with. They get bused into my classroom every day. But what I'm saying is I leave from there and I go change my hat, right? I go change my hat and I put on a hat that looks like this a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And I go out and I go out there and get to coach football. When you're coaching football, it's not like working for a living, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
It's everything that you love. So anyway, so that's a blessing about it because I do love what I do. Let me try to tell you about myself in a nutshell, you guys.
All right.
I come from the South. You might hear a little bit of accent still. I come from the South. I come from Florida. over by the Space Coast of Florida. And, Miami and Orlando and Tampa and Jacksonville, they get all the publicity for good football. But we feel like our area of football has got some pretty good football as well. The University of Miami and the Gators and the Seminoles, they've all made a great living out of recruiting our kids. And so just to tell you about me real fast, my mom was an art teacher. My mom was a school teacher, and I was raised by a single mother. And she was a school teacher, so I grew up around the school. You might, some of y'all know what that means. And for me, my high school football program wasn't very good, you guys, where I was supposed to go to school. So I actually went to a private school, and I drove an hour each way for 3 years to go to high school. So that means I got up in the morning and caught a little bus and drove an hour south to Vero Beach every day and went to private school. And then every night I drove an hour back. And what I got from that, you guys, was instead of being in a high school that lost almost all their games, I was in a high school with hand-picked athletes, an hour north, an hour south. And I lost one regular season game in 3 years of high school football as a player.
Kind of sound like my school.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And so what I got from that was I got winning. I knew what it meant to be a winner. I knew what a little bit of greatness was. And so I can say in the state of Florida, I got beat twice in the semis by a team from Belle Glade, Florida. If you know about Florida, you know them boys from Belle Glade and Pahokee, they're a little bit different. And so, I look back on it and I say, well, if them young boys can run down the rabbits, I bet they could play good defense too. So, but I got to play for state championship as a senior, and got beat by a young man that played for 14 years for Denver Broncos named Dwayne Carswell.
Okay.
And but the point of all that was, you guys, it was a great high school experience. And then, I don't know if y'all know about me. I'm not very tall. I'm about 5'10". And so I went and I walked on at Furman University in Greenville, South Carolina. And at the time, yes, sir, Furman.
I know about that one.
Yes, sir. Furman had won the national championship in 1988, beat Georgia Southern. And so when I got there, we were number one in 1AA football. And so again, the same way as being around a bunch of winners in high school, I was around a bunch of winners in college. They were people that had won the national championship as sophomores, and now they were juniors and seniors. And one thing they used to say, Coach Lee, is they used to say like this, let's go back. Let's go back. And everybody can be at the top of the mountain. Not everyone can be great. You got to be pretty dang good to understand what greatness means.
And Coach, you are one of the great line coaches in this game today. O-line and D-line. And we're going to get on the defensive coordinator side too. But
all right.
I know you as an offensive line coach and a defensive line coach because you have so many stuff written up in your Facebook page that I've been following for years. So let's talk about some of the training that you do. Let's start on the O-line first. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. And Coach Moore as well, thank you so much. Such an honor to be here. The first question you asked me about, Coach Lee, was you wanted to ask about my time as an offensive line coach. Well, I was more of a defensive player. I did play a little bit of right guard in high school. I ended up playing a little bit in the state championship game, which we lost. But I was playing right guard against the Ohio State commit. But my point is, my experience with offensive line as blocking people was playing in a three-point stance and getting a little bit of my weight forward, not too much weight forward. The guidance on that I always took was from the offensive line coach from Miami Hurricanes for many years. And it was, if your eyeball popped out of your head, could you catch it? But the point I'm trying to tell you is, 10 years ago, I was a very successful offensive line coach. And we won league titles and we went undefeated, things like that, and we dominated people. But my philosophy was, I was in a good three-point stance. I had a little bit of weight forward. We were running the triple option. And I was coming off the ball. I wanted a good, positive lead step. And I wanted to strike on my second foot hitting the ground. And I was wanting to go get people and go base block people and drive people off the ball. And I incorporated some base zone steps as a part of my base blocking, but I was much more, let's go get people. Let's go drive people off the ball. Let's be physical. And we were very successful. Well, I went back to defense for 5 years as defensive line coach. And then my son graduated from high school and it was time for a change. Excuse me. And I said, time to go back to offensive line again. And I had an opportunity. So I went back and I stopped. And I stopped everything I knew. And I said, let me study the best people in the world. So I studied. I got the opportunity because of Coach Chris Paulson, my former head coach there. He got me in the room with Howard Mudd, the great Howard Mudd, Hall of Fame coach and Hall of Fame player. He was with the Indianapolis Colts for so many years. And I got to absorb him for 4 hours, really up close with about 10 people in an intimate setting. And then I studied Jim McNally, everything he had, everything I could listen to over and over again. And then I studied John Strollo, who I consider to be a genius at the game. Currently coaching at a small college, North Carolina, true guru of offensive line play, in my opinion. Can stack up to anybody, in my opinion. And then I studied Scott Peters, who's an incredible martial arts hands expert, former NFL player, former grappling champion of the world. So I studied those 4 people, and I studied them in depth. And what happened was, it's kind of funny, my head kind of blew off, and I kind of had a catharsis of rebirth, and it changed how I saw blocking people. It changed. And so I didn't want to come off the ball real hard with a big lead step and come get people anymore, because I understood this concept. If I'm stepping right at you, coach, you might move. You might stunt. You might do something like that. You may not be sitting right there waiting for me. And I can't adjust. If I step toward you, my hips are not under me or behind me, right? I always ask kids this: can you do more weight on a squat or can you do more weight on a lunge? I think the squat wins every time. So the thing that changed was, the whole concussion thing is very important. Keep your face out of the football, right? Keep your head out of football. As I said, Coach Strollo is over there in North Carolina. He's coaching at a small school. I think it's a D3 school. I'm not exactly sure. But, this time he was at Ball State, which is D1. And I'm pretty sure they went, years of having the least tackle for loss. And so I just want you to watch these guys. So what they're doing here is it's pre-practice. It's a warm-up. It's a jitter. And they're holding tennis balls. Okay, now look. You can see the little tiny screen in front of you. There's a tennis ball. Tennis balls are pretty cheap. You can get the kind for dogs really cheap. You can get some from the tennis coach. You don't care. Get a big sack of tennis balls. When it's pre-practice and you're going through the shoot or whatever you're doing to warm up your offensive line, roll tennis balls. Now, why? You're saying, Freeman, why? Why do we want to roll tennis balls? Because it disconnects the upper body from the lower body. You don't want to be a robot if you're an offensive lineman. I want to be an athlete. I want to be a human being. I want to be fluid. I don't want to be some herky-jerky machine, okay? When I'm an X or Z receiver and I'm catching a pass, my upper body is not connected to my lower body when I turn to catch a pass. When I'm blocking people or I'm moving my feet, I want to quiet my hands. I want to quiet my hands and have my hands at the ready to protect my chest, right? Why do we say that? Look, if we're boxing, this is what? My knockout shot. The boxer's knocking me out. I got to protect my chin. If I'm a football player, if I'm a lineman, I got to protect my chest, right? And I want to roll meatballs. And also, because my hands are loose and relaxed, if you don't have a tennis ball, the next best thing is take your thumbs and just rub your thumbs together. It's supposedly some kind of yoga. I don't know. Some kind of, it's called Madras yoga, okay? Rub your thumbs together. It's a relaxed, easy way. Now, I'm going to shut my mouth because I'm not that interested. Watch these guys. There's no sound. Just watch them. They're warming up. Little steps, right? They're condensed, okay? They're rolling meatballs. Okay, look. Little tiny choppy steps, not big steps, all right? They're skipping to overtake, okay? Now, I'm just showing you an example, all right? Now, why would you ever cross your feet like that? It's unsound, right? No, it's not unsound. What's unsound is hitting somebody with your feet like that. If I got to go a long distance in a short time, I can cross my feet really fast. But I got to get them uncrossed before I hit somebody. All right, but I'm not trying to show you that. Now watch this. I want you to understand something. Have you ever done martial arts? I'm not talking about a two-handed punch like we've all done for 100 years. If somebody's standing right in front of me, I can punch him with two hands. But I'm talking about like a roundhouse, like a reverse punch, like martial arts. Okay, and what this kid's focused on is pulling the other elbow back. Watch him. It's not the punch. It's not the arm. It's the trunk. It's pulling the other hand back that creates that force. That is a force that you cannot deny. You can brace against it, whatever you want. That kid's moving. Now, here's the question. Okay, this is how they do a double team. Okay, he comes down, he stays square, he turns the turret, not the tank. All right, he drops his butt when he hits. He stays square so he can block the backside linebacker. All right, he's coming down, strike, moving up to block the backer. Right, two guys with four eyes on the backer and two hands on the down guy. Watch, he's getting left. Watch. Ready? Up. Head goes back, hips go forward. Head goes back, hips go forward. Head goes back, hips go forward. We're getting lift. Once we lift a big 300-pound defender, it's easy to drive him with short, choppy steps. Watch. Head goes back, hips go forward, double unders. Right? Our thumbs are out. Our elbows are in. Our elbows are butters to our rib cage. We can transfer force from our hips. Right? You see what we're talking about? Head goes back, hips go forward. Where are the feet? Rooted on the ground. If my foot's off the ground and he hits me, man, I'm going to get pile drive. Okay? Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time looking at this, but this is John Strollo.
As well as you do O-line. Now, what is expected of a defensive lineman that you teach in your program?
Well, I love it, Coach Lee. I love you changing up on me. Now,
Yes,
here's
sir.
what I would say to you guys is like this. There's a couple fundamentals that I feel like, as a defensive lineman, will change everything for you. If you're at the youth league level and you're at the high school level, there's not a lot of time to work on pass rush because most coaches are worried about, stop the run, first down, second down, we got to stop the run. And we do got to stop the run because the only way we're ever going to put anybody in a long yardage passing situation is by playing a great run defense on first and second down. But with that being said, how many head coaches don't want y'all running hoops and rushing the passer because they say, man, y'all better stop the run. So what I would say to you young coaches is try to build in some simple, effective pass rush drills that you can do pre-practice. Steal that 10 minutes of time before practice starts to work on your pass rush. And now some people disagree with this, but not everybody is a gifted athlete when you rush the passer. So when you say that, I always tell people like this: open your hips, flip your hips, open your hips. Now we have some wonderful athlete pass rushers. They look like power forwards, and they don't have to open their hips the same way. But as we know, the reason we flip our hips and open our hips is to get our toe pointed to the quarterback, our inside toe pointed to the quarterback, and to make ourselves skinny. How much time we spent lifting weights? How much time we spent getting big? Man, we're massive. But when we turn sideways and look in the opponent's ear hole, I cut my surface area in half, just like I said, right? Remember, I said, you're punching this. This is the block you're launching. This is when you're punching. And the other guy comes down. When you feel the other guy come down, what I say, you're punching this guy. I feel the other guy come. I throw my hip to the heat. I throw my hip to the heat. Watch the video. Here he comes. Boom. See him? Look. Boom.
Ask you, what do you do for kids off the field? I know you mentor. Come on now, we ain't got long.
All right, now I'll be real quick. Now listen, you guys. Some of you guys, everybody loves football. Everybody loves the game of football. But for me, it was about 1998, and I'll be real quick. It took me 12 years to get a college degree. It took me 12 years about going at nighttime. And so I had to come up. I was in the U.S. Army. I was a cook, I was a roofer, I was all kind of jobs. But finally, I got to be a teacher. And I said to myself, what can I do? I got to give back. And so ever since 1998, my mission in life has been fighting generational poverty, one kid at a time, and trying to get kids to college. And I've been lucky enough and blessed enough in my life. I had about 100 kids make it to college, in my career. And the most beautiful thing, Coach Lee, is when they call you up at 25 and they say, or 30, and they say, Coach, I got a beautiful wife, I got 2 kids, I'm working at Home Depot, and my life is great, and thank you for all you taught me. And they say, we didn't know it then, but we learned so much more than football. And so, Coach, for me, that's what it's all about, is to be a listening ear and a person to try to help these young people improve their life and what it means to be a man and what it means to sacrifice for the good of others. And Coach Lee, one more thing. Is some of my people tell me, they say, you treat the custodian the same way you treat the principal. And I say, yes, sir, that's how you treat everybody. Can I make one quick shout out to my group?
Yes, please do. Please do.
Hey, youth football coaches out there, listen, you guys, I know a lot of times people are, they feel like scheme is all this stuff. We have a group called O-Line and D-Line Brotherhood. It's on Facebook. It's free or whatever. And please join up. We have about almost 18,000 people in 100 countries. For the youth football of America. And I want to talk a little bit about why it's important for high school coaches to care about youth football. Well, when I was, all the years coaching, almost 30 years, high school football, I always had a box of hats from my team and a box of T-shirts. And on Saturdays, I would go down to the local youth football field and go find the head coach for the teams I knew would feed into my program or my school where I coached at. And I would get that box of hats and that box of T-shirts. And I would say, hey, give this hat to your defensive player of the game, coach, and give this T-shirt to the offensive player of the game. And so what you're doing is you're branding those kids. You're getting those kids excited as younger players. I say kids, but younger men, to get them excited to come to your school because you're exposing them that you care enough to be there. Excuse me so much. Now, what does that show? That you care. Have a clinic for the youth coaches. Have a, sit down and talk to them about scheme, talking about how you can help them. Okay? Now, the reason I'm saying all that is this. At some point, the youth players are going to be middle school players, are going to be high school players, eventually college players. So the better they know football, the better they know fundamental football, the better your football program is going to be one day. Now, here's the reason we're talking about today. What happens if you hear about a kid in Georgia that's really good? You hear a kid about in New Jersey that's really good. And I hear about a kid that had the rushing record in Vegas. Well, never before, you got a bunch of parents sometimes get on message boards and they argue about things. But how can you decide who's really the best top 10 running backs in the United States in that age group, in that level? It's never been possible until now. And so now with the share and compare feature, we're able to find out by weighting things and by comparing things, who is the best running back in America for that age? Who is the best receiver? Who is the most productive quarterback? So it's really exciting. It's a really exciting thing, and I can't wait till, we can start to, really see for bragging rights, with some of the people that are really the best. Guys, I want to thank you so much for having me again. Coach Lee, it's always a pleasure. We've been talking for years, and thank you so much for having me on your show. And Coach Moore, thank you so much for your patience and your kindness in helping me with this production number. And thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for American Youth Sports on the Gridiron and the Coaches Four Quarters radio show. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Now, thank you for coming on. I love you. I'm humbled. And we're going to talk some more again, okay?
All right, Coach Lee. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you so much for having me on the show, you guys.
Will do.
I specifically was able to go to Idaho State University, finished there with a master's degree in business administration. But bigger than that, it stemmed from some of the teachings and the overall patience that Jay Freeman had with us. He taught us the specifics, the techniques of the things that we could carry over into college that would help us be better men, one, and then two, also better linebackers. And I mentioned the small school thing and all the kids getting out because through his teaching, he broke through that barrier of people not being able to make it from the school that we were at or whatnot, and he saw the potential in kids and got the most out of us. I'm truly thankful for what he's done and the things that he's done in my career. Like I said, I'm a married man now, homeowner, also have a master's degree. And just to go to show he's big, it's bigger than just football for him. He truly cared about the individual and let us know that he did and wanted us to succeed just as his own kid. So I thank you for all the techniques and all the things that he taught us, but truly helpful to grow in who I am as a man and the discipline that he taught us there on the field. God bless, and please hire Jay Freeman.
Very bouncy, very upbeat personality. He was always on the move. Never on the downside, always on the positive guy from what I remember, always had something good to say. I've been playing football since I was 8 and went on to play in college. And, I've had to deal with a lot of different coaches, and some coaches you may not like, but this is definitely not one of those type of coaches. This is a coach that I definitely would, after the season, felt like he was a friend of mine, felt like he was, more than a coach. Definitely just an all-around good guy. When he was coaching me, I always remember that he would go about things in a professional and respectful manner. And I remember thinking that moving from, little league ball to middle school ball to high school ball, now finally I'm playing in high school. And when he coached me, it was always a professional and respectful manner, like I'm playing for the pros now, like I finally made it here. And, it was that one step up now that I'm getting coached by this guy. But other than that, I think he's a great coach. I think he'd be a good fit for a head coach as well. So.